I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, December the 16th, 2015. An IDF unit was targeted near the Gaza border fence today. An improvised explosive device was thrown at a Golani Brigade unit. However, they did not incur any injuries. The troops responded with mortar fire. And 3 IDF soldiers were wounded last night during an operation in the Kalandia refugee camp north of Jerusalem. Soldiers had gone into the camp to arrest Palestinian security suspects when a Palestinian driver tried to run them down with his vehicle. Other troops fired at the driver and he was killed. The 3 soldiers that were injured were reportedly hit by gunfire, and it is being investigated as to whether it was friendly fire from IDF forces or from Palestinian gunfire. They were taken to the hospital for treatment. There was also a second incident of an attempted car ramming in the refugee camp later. That driver, too, was shot and killed. No IDF forces were injured. 2 Palestinian men who are charged with planning a terror attack on the Israeli embassy in Berlin went on trial in Germany today. The 21-year-old men are also said to be supporters of the Islamic State. They had been arrested back in June, and according to a report in Ynet, police at that time also found a large quantity of ingredients used to make explosives in their possession. A federal prosecutor in Argentina has asked for a complaint filed by the late special prosecutor Alberto Nisman to be reopened. Raul Pali filed the request on Monday. The complaint accuses former Argentine President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner of covering up the role that Iran played in the bombing of the Jewish Center in Buenos Aires in 1994, which killed 85 people and injured hundreds. Nisman was found dead of a gunshot wound to the head on January the 18th, just before he was set to testify to an Argentine Congress about his findings. While initial reports called his death a suicide, many believe Nisman was murdered. De Kirchner was succeeded as president just last week by Mauricio Macri. On Monday, the new government in Argentina voided an agreement that was made with Iran to jointly investigate the bombing. The agreement with Iran was seen as part of the cover-up. B'nai B'rith International praised the decision by the new Macri-led government, with its president Gary Saltzman saying that voiding this deal will send a strong message that the pursuit of justice knows no bounds. B'nai B'rith International Executive Vice President Daniel Mariachin said Iran and its proxy Hezbollah should be held accountable so the families and victims of this terrorist attack can find peace once and for all. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban told his parliament this week that he opposes a statue honoring Bálint Homan, a government minister in the 1930s and 40s who played a key role in deporting Hungary's Jews to the Nazi death camps. Jewish organizations have been expressing their outrage over the statue and urging the Hungarian government, who largely funded it, to withdraw that funding. President of the World Jewish Congress, Ronald Lauder, said Prime Minister Orban's clear statement on this matter comes very late, but it is nonetheless welcome. I thank him for making the standpoint of the Hungarian government very clear. No honors must be given to those who prepared the ground for the mass murder of 600,000 Hungarian Jews by Nazi Germany in 1944. Lauder also thanked the U.S. government, in particular the State Department's Special Envoy to Monitor and Combat Anti-Semitism, Ira Forman, as well as Secretary of State John Kerry, for opposing the statue. The 9th annual Symposium on Anti-Semitism is taking place in Brussels this week. An Israeli delegation is attending, despite a decision made last month by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to suspend talks with European Union officials on Israel's diplomatic process with the Palestinians because of the EU's recent decision to label Israeli products made over the Green Line, the pre-1967 borders. The Anti-Semitism Conference, however, is seen as a non-diplomatic discussion. The head of the Foreign Ministry's Public Diplomacy Division, Yuval Rotem, led Israel's delegation. The conference will focus on the fight against anti-Semitism, racism, and incitement on social media, and on providing security for Europe's Jews. A Foreign Ministry statement said that the topic is unfortunately, quote, on the agenda because of threats to the Jewish community by terror forces in Europe. The American Jewish Committee co-hosted a symposium with Tel Aviv University this week in Tel Aviv. The two-day conference marked the 50th anniversary of Nostra Aetate, the document that revolutionized Catholic teaching regarding Jews and Judaism. The conference aims to deepen awareness in Israel about the document and its impact. AJC International Director of Interreligious Affairs David Rosen said the great significance of Nostra Aetate is not adequately known in Israel. He said without Nostra Aetate, the establishment of full bilateral relations between the State of Israel and the Holy See would not have been feasible. Officials from the Vatican traveled to Israel to take part in the event. They include President and Secretary of the Pontifical Commission for Religious Relations with the Jews, Cardinal Kurt Koch and Father Norbert Hoffman, respectively. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight, Wednesday, December the 16th. At 8 o'clock, the 2015 Irving Kristol Award is presented to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu in Washington. At 9, as Fiddler on the Roof returns to Broadway this week, celebrating the musical's 50th anniversary, the show's Tony Award-winning lyricist Sheldon Harnick joins Mark Golub on L'chaim. He talks about his own Jewish background and the original production. That's at 9 o'clock. And at 10, Culture Fest with Leah Koenig. And coming up tonight, right after this newscast at 6:30, Thinking Out Loud with Micah Halpern. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, December the 16th, 2015. I'm Teisha Bader.